one and we want to fix that one.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
Can't go live.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, perfect.
Look at those sexy ladies right there.
This one here. Yeah. Hey, welcome back, guys. We had a slight technical difficulties, but we have the best on-site producer, so we are back. Thank you.
Yes, we are.
They're the best. They're just the best. So those that actually checked in early, we just want to shout you out because we appreciate you joining our show. Miss J, you want to tell us who was on the check-in, babe?
So we have Miss Cat's Mom,
Hi, Mom.
Busybody, Miss
She has to talk to
Alec,
Talking to mic, babe. The mic. The mic. You want to pick it up? You want to pick it up? You can pick it up.
you want me to start from the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Miss Cat's Mom,
Hey, Mom.
Busybody, Miss Alec,
One
Darling.
second. Oh, there it goes. Go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry. That was my fault.
It's okay. NJBB, Nikki Bond, Awesome Lady, Aunt Olga, Sweet Tay, Closet Savvy, which is a clothing business, Stan the Realtor, and Louis the Door Knocking King.
Nice.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. Thank you. It's always a super blessing when our family and friends, especially our peers, take, 5 or 10 minutes to check in with us. So we were actually talking about buyer expenses, and we talked about down payment. We talked about attorney fees, and let's get ready for the big one. Home inspection with Miss Custom Fitted.
Why did you have to put me on the spot like that? That's like a lot of pressure. So, so yes, the home inspection comes after you get out of attorney review and into under contract, and that's a specific time where you would basically have to do what's called a home inspection. The home inspection is basically for two things. You want to basically find out how your home works, because this is like most people who are buying, for the most part, are first-time home buyers. Your home inspector will teach you different things. How your, HVAC works, if you have like a full HVAC system, how you change filters, what filters need to be bought at Home Depot. They also do like a bunch of things. How I learned last week how a what do you call it when you put it in the sink? The garbage disposal. You're supposed to run the water
Oh, yes.
when you put food down the garbage disposal, because right, because if you don't, then the motor burns out faster. So those are different things that the home inspector will teach you, basically how your home is going to work. The second most important thing is basically they're going to inspect to make sure all the big ticket items, as long as the small ticket items are working and in good operating system. Big ticket items are things like your roof, like I said, your heating systems, your hot water systems, your foundation, gutter, like everything. Well, not gutters, but things like that. That like a gutter is not like a big ticket item, because it's sometimes like you may find that the gutters are just pouring down in the basement. It's just a matter of like turning it away from the foundation or whatever. But yeah, exactly. But
No, Custom Fitted giving you the tea.
Yeah, I literally go on like I go to literally all my home inspections, because it's like really important. It's important. Some agents don't, but I like to, because I know a lot of agents. When I first started in the business, I know like really like a lot of like the real top producers who were like closing maybe 5 to 10 deals a month. They wouldn't go to any of their home inspections, and they would actually.
Who would they send?
No, they would just send the home inspector and the buyer.
Wow.
They wouldn't go themselves.
Really know the home inspector, though.
Yeah, or they would.
Relationship with you.
Yeah.
But it's not about them. It's about the relationship with the buyer and the realtor. Like, you're supposed to be like, not babysitting them, but
guiding them.
The
because also as a
I
realtor
agree.
too, like when you go on your own home inspections, I mean, I'm sure we all do. When we go to like the first showing with our buyers, we know like kind of what to look for. I'm not a home inspector, but I know I'm looking up on the ceiling. I'm looking at like the foundation. I'm looking at gutters. I'm looking at all little different things, and I'm pointing them out to my buyers because I've been through it. I know these things are going to come up in the home inspection.
Right.
But some people don't. don't, and that's, that's fine. That's why you hire one of us on the panel. But those are one of the things that you're going to look, your home inspector is going to look for: big ticket items, things that are going to cost you a lot of money. And then also there are little things, outlets that, need covers on them, and, all types of things. But what they're basically going to do after they've inspected the entire property, they're going to create a report for you. And that's what you're going to give your attorney to use as a negotiation tool, to either have the seller fix it or give you a credit for it. The cost of a home inspection could be anywhere between, I've seen as low as $200,000 up to over $1,000, and it really depends.
Whoa.
Yeah, it really depends on the location. It depends on the size of the property, and of course the type. So condos, of course, are usually going to be the least expensive because they're just looking at little things like your electrical panels and your heating systems and everything like that. Usually the association is going to take care of your siding and your roofing and all of that stuff. So that's not something that they have to really focus on. But when you're buying a single family home or a multifamily home, the more units and the more square footage is usually where you're going to find the biggest cost for that. And of course, they're limited. If some people are not, a home inspector is not going to give you advice, or they shouldn't give you advice on foundation. Sometimes you have to actually hire an engineer, a foundation engineer, to go ahead and inspect it, to actually give you like a full report. And then also another thing that the inspector will do, which is completely up to you, is like radon testing, which is basically like a gas that, escapes out of, the ground. And they found that the most, I was told that radon is basically everywhere, but places that have the most like rocks and everything like that, the radon is the highest there. And when you have a high radon count, it can cause cancer and different like ailments and stuff like that. So if you find that the radon is too high, you can get like a system where I think a fan blows everything out. Like there's this whole thing that goes on along with the radon to get it out of the home or whatever, so you don't get sick off of it. But those, again, are recommendations that your home inspector is going to give you. And then most importantly, the tank sweeps, because a lot of times in New Jersey, originally homes were heated by oil. They were put underground. And what they found was a lot of the oil was actually, with, I think it's called corrosion or something like that. You put like a underground oil tank, and it corrodes. It's sitting, against rocks and everything like that. It corrodes, and the metal basically wears down, and that's what causes an oil leak. So that can contaminate water. It can contaminate a whole bunch of different things, and that could be a major, major cost, especially when you have the EPA involved.
What's EPA, Candace?
EPA?
EPA, okay, yeah.
EPA?
EPA.
You
I'm
want
like,
me
there's
to-
someone else too?
Yeah. No, the EPA, they're responsible. They're environmental. They're responsible for all of that stuff, making sure that everything's, clean and everything, and it's not a hazard to, other people. So yeah, when you have the EPA involved, that can be a major cost, because you now have like, the EPA involved. So it's a big cleanup and everything like that, and that can be really costly. So we always advise to do a tank sweep. If there is a tank, that you found, because I've seen multiple tanks, people say, oh yeah, there's no tank, or the house has gas, and little do you know, these people, they didn't care, they just, kept the tank in, and they just put the gas, they connected the gas, and that's it, So you have to really be really, really responsible when it comes to the due diligence of your property. And the last thing I say is, a lot of my buyers ask me this all the time, like, do I have to give the home inspection to my bank? You don't have to give the home inspection to your bank. That's really for your own due diligence. I don't, if you want to, you can, but I don't. Listen, that's really for your own due diligence, for yourself. The bank is going to do their own due diligence when it comes to appraisal, which I think we're all going to speak about later on. But the home inspector is really for the buyer to do for their own edification of the property. So,
Nice.
that's all.
Very nice. How about also too? Yes, that was great. And I'm about to start
Very
hiring
informative.
I don't know, Keith. You may got your beat. What about the soil test, like just in case if the
Yeah.
tank is leaking?
Yeah, so that's one thing that they do, is if you find a tank, when the next thing that happens is they call them bores. They bore into the ground around the tank, and it's basically just drills that go into like around the perimeter of the tank or whatever, and they actually pull out the soil and they test it, and if they find that it's contaminated, then that's a whole different story. You know, you can negotiate whether you're going to be responsible for what's called this cleanup, because you basically have to dig the tank up and dig all the soil up until it's tested to a level where they find no contamination or very low contamination. I mean, you can debate that with your attorney or whatever. But yeah, that's basically one of the things. And that's honestly, sometimes that can cost I've seen it cost more than the home to clean up, you know, so that's why you really have to do your due diligence, because I've seen people who have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on just an oil cleanup, you know. So you know, and it's not always that drastic. I don't want to scare anybody and think like, you know, you're gonna have to come up with 100,000. But I've seen it, you know, especially when it comes to investment properties and everything like that. As an investor, I see it all the time. So you definitely want to do your due diligence with that.
All right, Miss
Nice.
Custom Fitted.
Yeah.
So let's just go back to the down payment. So we have the down payment of about 10,000. We have the attorneys roughly 15,000. Some are 2,000. So let's say
1,500, 2,000. I've seen them cheaper.
Oh.
You know, some charge 900, some charge 1,200. That's why I didn't really want to touch on the price, because it varies. The range is so big.
It depends on what you're
depends on
buying.
the area. It depends on the things they have to do.
Mhm.
If they're doing more than just a review, if they have to start writing letters,
Mhm.
evicting tenants.
Mhm.
So it can just vary.
okay. So we're gonna say like
And I should, and I don't
2,000?
want to cut you
No.
off. Also, I think it depends on the type of sale, because I know attorneys, like when it comes to a short sale, they're charging like 2,000 plus
Right.
for a short
Really?
sale.
Yes.
Yeah. So if it's not a normal sale, where you know, they're sending like general, you know,
And
generic
condos
letters and all
co-ops
of
are
that stuff.
different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Condos and co-ops have different costs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it all depends.
So we have down payment, we have attorney, we have our home inspection and or tank sweep and or radon, in addition to the soil test. We always encourage our buyers, just because you have a seller disclosure saying that they pulled the tank, do your own homework.
Mm-hmm.
But in
And-
addition to that, you have the termite testing.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
yes.
Yeah.
So do
Mhm.
they? I know my home inspector included. Do you?
It's
guys?
optional.
Some.
Mine is
included.
optional.
One of mine's do, and another one I use, he do not.
Right.
Mm.
Because
So-
again, I think I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you good.
I
you're good.
think with home inspectors, sometimes, again, like realtors, right? Like there's certain liabilities and certain things
Right.
that we want to take on, right? So it's a lot easier sometimes when you have someone that specializes. That's why I say like home inspectors, a lot of them, some of them will, but some of them won't recommend things to, like how to fix foundation issues, because they're not engineers, right? And the same thing with
Right.
home inspectors. Like I know some, they don't really get into the whole termite thing because it's a
They're not
liability thing.
exterminators,
And
right.
exterminators, right, exactly. They're gonna hire an exterminator, right, and a professional that specializes in those type of things. So yeah, absolutely.
Now I know FHA definitely needs termites. How about conventional? I
No.
haven't ran into a conventional buyer. Okay, so
VA
We do
usually
not
does.
VA
not-
ain't
Not all
playing.
banks
You
require for FHA. It depends on the bank.
okay? That's a new one. So we have another expense. Now we're at appraisal. Miss Cat.
So appraisal is usually ordered, usually right after attorney review, simultaneously with the home inspection. That's ordered by your lender directly. That's an upfront expense, meaning you're paying that out of pocket, usually with a credit card, right then and there. The payment's made, then the appointment is set. The appraisals needed by the lender to evaluate the cost, the what the home is worth. So what they're doing is it's a quick, no more than a half an hour usually appointment where the buyer doesn't need to be present. The appraiser just goes in and looks at the home. They're looking at the number of bedrooms, kitchen, bath, garage,
Square footage.
basement, square
Condition.
footage, the condition of the home.
They check
They're
it.
checking that against other homes that has recently sold in the area, usually within a mile radius, usually sold within the last 6 months, and they come up with a value on what they believe the home is worth. That's beneficial to the buyer because you don't want to overpay for a home, especially now with the market, and you're constantly, everyone's overbidding and putting 40,000-50,000 above asking. You want to at least ensure that it's a good thing that you got the home, but you also don't want to overpay for it. So that's why the appraisal's there. There are conditions where the home doesn't appraise, where if you purchased it for, well, if it was listed for 250, but you purchased it and your offer got accepted for 310, but yet the home only appraised for, let's say, 280 or something, you know, there's different scenarios that can happen. For one, the bank is not going to take on that additional cost that you put on a home. The buyer has an option to where, I'm seeing a lot of it, they're paying the difference out of pocket
True.
on what the home is worth, meaning they're actually paying more for what it's worth. So they're not gaining much equity from the beginning. But yet that's a home that they like. They've been looking for a couple of years maybe. And so, you know, they don't want to start the search over. So listen, I'll just pay that extra $30,000 out of pocket and it's their home. But again, the bank would not, you know, if it's appraised for 280 or whatever the price is, that's what the bank is going to cover.
Cat sound like she almost scared you guys. But
Right.
I'm gonna tell you about something right now. If
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
call me later.
That was for Kat because that was well. She said that well.
They play too much.
That was
They
funny.
play
That was
too
funny. That was
much.
But I mean, just to also add, there's time where it's, you know, the property doesn't appraise, and you know that's something that's not gonna necessarily sit well with the seller or the listing agent. So you do have an option to appeal it, meaning you know the agents get together, they add in some comps of their own to say, hey, listen, Mr. Appraiser, you forgot this property that just sold. They had the same amount, you know. And the appraiser at time will take the time to actually review the materials given to see if they can come to a common medium to see if, you know, the price will be adjusted.
Yeah, and one thing I see too is because I work predominantly with buyers, but ever so often I work with sellers, and sometimes you can meet the appraiser and you can actually give them your own comps.
Right.
That's one thing that you
Absolutely.
can do as well.
Yes, ma'am. Every time.
It's not
Yeah.
sneaky. It's
Yeah, it's not sneaky,
It's
it's-
public information.
yeah.
They
Right.
have access to the
Mhm.
MLS just like us.
But they're not showing the houses sometimes, and sometimes there's no pictures for them to relate.
Yeah, stop
to
being
what you're
lazy,
looking at.
agents. One picture.
Sure.
I'm just saying, just a messenger. Another expense. So we have your. I always like to recap because people come in as they come in. So we have down payment expense. We have your attorney expense. We have the home inspection and or tank sweep and or radon and or termite and soil. Woo, y'all need a whole loan. In addition to an appraisal.
And that
So-
varies also, but it's
Right.
generally under $1,000. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely under 1,000,
Sorry.
but it can
Sure,
vary
it's small.
again depending on the bank and the situation at hand.
Totally agree. And the next expense, so pretty much after we hit all of these, I would say obstacles, 'cause that's exactly what they are. We are just about ready to close. But before closing, you know, just like a car, you have to have homeowner insurance. Homeowner insurance is actually based on purchase price. So roughly, if you're in the 250 to 300,000 range, depending on taxes. So
Right.
taxes like make or break this homeowner insurance. And from what we have experienced, or what I have experienced, even up to a property for $300,000, if the taxes are moderately 7,000 and 9,000, not too much over 1,900. So you have to really shop for your homeowner insurance.
It's not $1,900 a month or a year.
A year. Good question. A year. A year.
Another
Annually.
mortgage.
I'm
Another
sorry,
mortgage,
annually.
right?
That was- They're like,
Mortgages?
really, Maddie? Like, no,
Oh, Jesus.
annually. Annually. But
Yeah.
this is an upfront expense. You have to pay this upfront. And one of the ways to save on your homeowner insurance is possibly working or utilizing a policy that you already have. For example, like
Bundling.
your car insurance may offer a secondary policy discount, your health insurance, retirement plan, life insurance, any insurance that you already have, you can ask them first. And if not, then everyone has a bank where they also have different, I would say, resources or outsources where we can refer you for affordable housing insurance. So we have a phone call.
Hey,
So
caller.
hopefully, let's
Hey,
see.
caller.
It's kinda playing.
Oh wait, I know how this works.
You did it.
I did.
You did it.
Oh, call
Sorry.
back. We're so sorry. Call
Call
back.
back.
Yeah. Oh.
Hit the green button.
Yeah.
Oh, go
Hey,
ahead.
hey, hey.
Welcome to Real Estate Divas. How can we?
Oh, go ahead.
Really, bro? Welcome to Real Estate Divas. How can we help you?
Hey, do you have access? Are you guys real estate realtors?
We
We're
are.
realtors.
are.
Absolutely.
How can
So do
we
you have
help
access to LexisNexis?
I don't. I mean, I have people who have access to LexisNexis. Why? Why?
First, let's ask
Oh, because I'm trying.
for those that don't know.
What?
LexisNexis. That's a database for attorneys, isn't
Yeah,
it?
pretty much.
Okay.
How can we
Sir?
help you?
How
Well,
can
yeah,
we-
I'm trying to get somebody's social because I'm trying to open up a bank account. So I was just seeing if I could use your account.
Goodbye.
No,
That was a
Oh, I'm
prank
sorry. We
call.
got disconnected. Sorry. That's not anything that we can help with. But anything with that has anything to do with real estate needs, we're all there.
Feel free to call back if you need
High
real
five, Miss
estate
Custom
help.
Fitted. Tell your cousin Fred stop playing. Cousin Fred stop playing.
I'm going
Your next expense, Miss Whitwit.
we gonna
Miss
add that
Whitney.
into our closing
Whitney
Yeah,
is
we don't do
going-
fraud
I'm
over here,
telling
guys.
you.
Absolutely
no
not.
fraud.
We have our license on the line. We have a 213. You want to take this one, Jay?
Go ahead, Jay.
Real estate divas, how can we help you?
Are you guys all black?
Oh God.
Lord.
On Thursdays, I'm Asian, so well, Indian. You know, with my luxurious bundles. Bye,
Mom
boy.
mixed. I don't know.
If you guys have any real questions, please feel free to call in.
Yes.
Call
We
in.
have
But
something
we're
to
gonna
talk about.
continue our show.
Oh yeah,
until-
sorry. Yes.
Yes.
Next.
So the
So-
closing costs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So closing costs. I think a lot of buyers actually forget about it. I've encountered a lot of people that they think that they only need like the 3.5% down. I think that a lot of people think. Sorry.
Keep going.
I
I
guess we
would
got a
ignore
lot
it.
of activity up in here.
You really trying to get through.
I like that.
They see beautiful women.
That
We're trying to
ringtone.
get that too. There we
Ringtone
go.
is good.
Nice.
See, we got the best producers in town. Whitney, what is closing costs and
So I
how
think-
much is it?
Yeah. So buyers, I think sometimes we get like, let's say, for instance, like FHA buyers, you put 3.5% down. Sometimes we think that's all we need to come to the table with,
Mm-hmm.
but we forget that actually it's something called closing costs. So closing costs usually, depending on which it's conventional or like FHA, can be 3 to 5% down. So depending on what it is, a single family, condos, everything, which with closing costs is it includes your title fees, your appraisal fees, and taxes, deed recording, credit reports sometimes, property tax, a lot of things. So those are some examples of closing costs. And I think a lot of people get misconstrued because we also can build it into your asking price. So let's say that house is at $300,000, your closing cost is $10,000. Most people, they'll up it to $310,000, so it's included into your closing costs. I see that a lot of time nowadays. So yes, you can do that, but I will tell most buyers, make sure you have that $10,000 because like Kat talking about the appraisals, because the banks will send somebody in to appraise the house. And if the house is $300,000, but you up the price because you want to include your closing costs, that's fine. To be honest, most of the time it does appraise, but there are instances that it doesn't. So you will need that $10,000 for that extra closing cost. So I always tell buyers, like, kind of buyer beware, just so you know.
I like that. Buyer
like,
beware.
yeah.
That's cute. Buyer beware.
Just so you know,
Next topic.
what you need the down payment and the closing costs. You should always, as a buyer, know that you're gonna need those two things. If we can include it, it's a blessing, to be honest, and that's great. But I always tell people that you never know. You might need to come to closing with an extra $5,000 for closing costs, which and I always stress it. It's closing costs. It's separate from your down payment. So that's something I think we really, really need to stress to some buyers out there. And it's not to just, it's if you're a first time home buyer, you don't know that. You're not. Everybody's not Wikipedian, and you probably shouldn't Wikipedia because people do that. But there's other things included that you should know. So as realtors, that's why we're here to educate you, and if we can include it in the purchase price, we will, but not at all times we can.
Nice.
Yeah, because I think we talked about that last time, Jaquana and I and Shireen. We had all that same issue where we went over asking price. We included the concession, and the appraisal came in at the minus the concession, right? Minus the concession, and she's right. Like, you have to either renegotiate or whatever. But again, that's the difference between having like experienced realtors, because I think we all got the deal.
We got the
it
deal
went
done.
yeah it got it
Yes,
done,
we
and
got
our
the
clients didn't
sellers
have to
to
come
They
out
got it done.
our clients didn't have to come out with any additional money. Like, they still got what they wanted. So yeah, that's the difference between working with a professional and just a
called
regular real estate
negotiation.
agent.
That's
Right.
Boom.
I did want to add that certain items are non-refundable as well.
Yes.
Right.
Obviously, once you put the down payment down, if something happened, the deal doesn't go through with, probable cause, it can be returned. But as far as appraisal being paid up front, inspection with the whole shebang, termite, oil, none of that's
Those are not refundable.
refundable. That's paid directly to the inspector, paid directly to the bank for the appraisal. And if the deal doesn't fall through, whether it's right after or a month later, you're not refunding back that money at all.
I'm so glad that you said that, Kat, because that really, really encourage buyers. When you select the home, bid like you love it, bid like this is
Right.
the home, not sort of like double touch. Maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't. No, because
Right. If
those
this is what
those
you
funds
want, we're
are
putting that effort and we're putting that offer.
they're not
It's
negotiable.
on a scale of 1 to 10. You love it or you don't.
Right.
And if it ain't 10, then
We
yeah.
agree. So overall, we have spoke about your down payment fees. We spoke about your attorney fees, your home inspection fees, your appraisal fees, your homeowner insurance, and lastly, your closing costs. And again, if you don't have down payment assistance, we know people that know people that know people.
Yeah.
So you can
Call
contact.
especially Manny. Everybody.
Just trying to pay these bills on time. So we all have special lenders that we work with to really help that buyer get from beginning to end.
Right.
But on a quick check-in, we have some questions that we want to go over. Someone was asking, Candace, I'm a realtor. How do I begin, or what should I do to begin? You want to start first, Kat, or we gonna start this way? How y'all want to do it?
What is the question? How do they're a new realtor?
I'm a realtor now. I just passed. What should I do? What next? What's now?
The next step will be to, I think, you have to visiting companies. You're finding a home to hang your license, asking questions, shadowing other people, networking. That's the only way you're going to learn. You can read, you can Google, but everything is based off of different stories and getting out there pretty much. But I think the very next step was to be interviewing agencies to find out where you're going to hang your license to actually start working.
I like that, Kat. Do you guys want to maybe say how did you guys pick who you guys wanted to represent?
Well, I would tell somebody visiting a brokerage for an hour you might not get the whole aspect of that brokerage. My advice to people is sit there all day. 'Cause
That's a good one.
people are going
If
in and
you
out.
can't afford to.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
If you
that's
can,
true.
if you have a day to spare, sit into the brokerages, sit there all day and see what's going in and out. Because sometimes when you have that hour span, you don't see everything that's going on. And then now you're in that brokerage and then you see everything from day to day. And, that's my advice.
Yeah, I kind of agree because
That's a good one.
I started. I had the luxury of working as an intern like Jalea, and I got to see a lot of the back end stuff way before I got licensed. And I realized that I liked my company, and I've been with them since inception. That's the only company I was with. But I agree. Like when you sit with a company, you learn their culture and everything like that. You decide if it's something that's gonna fit you, and you move forward if they do, and if not, you move on to the next.
I agree with that one. How did you pick your company, Jay?
So me personally, I knew I wanted to be with a small company. I didn't want a big brand. I didn't want corporate. I wanted a small boutique real estate company where I would stand out. Because when you go to bigger firms, and this is just my preference, you're just a number. You're just a person there. Versus when you're with a smaller company, you stand out more. You're noticed more. You get, I say, more attention, if you will. So that was how I shopped for my real estate home.
I was looking for actually, me and Jay used to work at the same agency until I recently transitioned to a new agency. But I would definitely encourage all new agents that are looking for a brokerage, look for a broker that you really have, you sort of like, what do you call it? Like vibing with. You want a broker that's really like
That supports you.
that believes and supports you,
Right.
because it's very important. You will see very quickly, because what a broker is, of course, they manage the office, right? But every place has a place where they focus on certain things, and so that's a great way when you sit there all day. We're not going to give away
who's coming in that
right.
door.
You know who's
Right.
coming in and out, but definitely one of the things I'll have to piggyback off Candace is the culture. You want to be somewhere where you are comfortable.
Absolutely.
You'll end up leaving.
You don't want to feel uncomfortable
You don't feel
walking into your
comfortable.
office.
You don't,
Right.
because I left 2 places because the culture just wasn't right. Now I'm at a place, I'm happy. There's still gonna be some bumps in the road, but again, culture is very important.
Right.
How'd you pick your place, Kat?
This is actually my second location. My first location, actually, he was helping me purchase my home. So I kind of got, pulled into it. Like, oh, you're pretty aggressive. You should become a realtor. So that's how that happened. And I've since transitioned in now with Remax. Again, because I like the vibe. I see my broker. I see he was doing good things. Very
Amazing.
supportive. So that's where I'm at now with Remax, and I'm very happy. I just wanted a different, market for myself, and that's why I moved over.
And don't
Nice.
just focus on percentage, because
No, it's where you're comfortable, where you feel you
you're
can grow,
comfortable.
and to each his own.
I agree. Do you have any advice, real quick, Candace, for any new agents that just came in? What to do now?
Well,
After they pick their fantastic
yeah, after they
brokerage?
pick their company. So this is gonna sound very unorthodox, but honestly, this is what helped me a lot. Cause I don't mind doing it. I don't mind rejection. I don't know if Randy's watching, but there's a really good real estate agent. His name is Randy, with United Real Estate, and we had a meeting like 2 weeks ago. He invited me to, and one of the things he said was how he started was with telemarketing. And I did the same. Like when that was like one of my first jobs, because that's like one of the things you could do when you're like 17 years old, because you get working papers, and you know what I mean. Like you're not legal, but you're just legal enough. So I've always gotten comfortable with rejection. Like I don't mind rejection. So one of the things I've always loved to do is door knocking, and that's actually a really good way to get business. Smiling in people's faces. They get to meet you, one-on-one. It's kind of the opposite of, I guess, an open house, because again, it's like the same thing. You meet, people face to face, but the only difference is you're meeting sellers versus buyers So I would say if you don't have any money, because there's a lot of money that you can spend in real estate, but if you don't have the money, just get out and door knock, and just make the best of it.
Definitely get that sweat equity going.
Yeah.
I would definitely say let everyone in your phone, in your sphere, your Facebook, Instagram, IG, corner
Yes.
store, let everyone know, hey, I'm in real estate. Do you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell?
Always have
And
business cards.
Always
Right.
have
Yes.
business cards.
Promote
Right? So
yourself,
even if
promote.
you're scared, trust me, scared money don't make no money.
Right.
So if you scared,
Right.
then
You're not making
you work
no
9
money.
to 5.
Right. Right.
You're gonna be a realtor. You're gonna have to
Work.
bear
Mm-hmm.
bare your soul, That's all I
Yeah.
have to say.
24 hours.
24 hours.
24 hours.
Yeah.
7 days a
Jay-
week.
7 days a week.
I was like, I just rolled my eyes. Sorry.
You have any advice, Jay, for our new agents?
No, but I don't- like when you say 24 hours, 7 days a week, but also when you become an experienced realtor,
Right.
you do set your own schedule. So
Absolutely. But that's after.
Yeah.
After.
But you have to put your sweat and tears into it up front.
Yes.
So that's one thing I will say. Don't be scared about 24 hours, 7 days a week. Because if you love what you're doing,
Right.
It's not work.
It's no 24 hours. It's
Exactly.
not 7 days a week. It's something you're passionate about. You're going to pick up that phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Shay, you
Yeah,
got some
my only advice would just be patient. Just don't think it's gonna happen overnight.
Right. That's a big one.
That's a good one. You know what? Speaking of patience, real quick, how long did it take you guys after you guys earned your license to close your first deal?
Wow. It's,
See, that long. We're
I
like,
mean,
wow.
No.
no, I was saying wow because
Oh.
it wasn't that long.
Yeah, it wasn't. You know why?
Mine's like,
Mine
wow.
was, you know,
Yeah.
in mine I thought was long. It was 3 months.
Wow.
And I thought that was
Yeah,
long. So
I
people
got-
were like, no, sometimes it takes a year. And I was like,
Yeah.
No.
My mom
But
is. Oh,
3
sorry.
months.
I was
It
like
happens.
under contract the first 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, and then it probably took about 2.5 months to get the deal to
That's
the closing
great.
table. But I needed a lot of help from my broker at that time on that first deal because it was like my first sales deal.
You don't
on
know
the
what to
real
do.
estate side.
Weeks.
Yeah.
I knew some, but it was
That's
just it was
imperial.
different when
Right,
you're on
that's-
the you're the
that's not
buyer when you're
common.
purchasing.
see, I never
versus when you're
purchased a
selling.
house.
Got it.
So when I started, I was like, I don't know what to do now.
Yeah.
That's
You
great.
get that
That's-
accepted offer, you come in the office, you're like,
Now what?
okay, now what do I do?
Yeah.
That's good. It took me 6 months. And I'm glad that you said that your broker was hand over hand.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Pick somebody
Yeah.
who you know that's going to believe in
Right.
you, y'all.
Yeah.
And not even a broker, but because I was immediately, I was getting listings like
Nice.
new because my mom, she was like, she's still heavy in church. And she, like, that's one thing my mom is good at. Like, me and my brother are both entrepreneurs. She will plug the heck out of us. Like, you could be
That's
sitting there
right.
praying and she'd be like, oh, yeah. Yo, that's how my mom is. Like, God bless her.
Pray for custom.
Yeah, she is the plug for real. Like, holds my business cards. Like, she has a whole separate thing with my business
like,
cards.
what's
She
custom?
hands
She's
out.
like, here you go.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember, I was getting listing presentation, all types of stuff. I'm like so wet behind the ears, like I didn't know. But yeah, it wasn't that long. But yeah, it was because of my mom. I can't say it was anybody. I can't say it was me. It was definitely the support, like you said. So yeah.
Kat, how long did it take you? How long did it take you to close your first deal?
It took me a couple of months. I would say probably about 3.
So
about 3
just
months.
me took forever, huh? I guess I was in the
Well, I
wrong
think
place at the
didn't you
wrong
started
time.
out
necessarily.
though part time,
I
right?
did,
So that's
I did,
I
that's
did.
a good excuse.
And I
You
started
See how your
out as
girls
a
warm your back like,
No,
well,
but
you
it's
was
true.
part-time,
You
Maddie.
started out part time, so it's a little different when you're part time.
And when I started, I did a lot of rentals, a lot.
Oh yeah. Oh my
yeah.
God. Rentals.
Rentals are serious.
What?
I
Those
did.
kept me afloat.
Right.
Hear that? Afloat. Don't quit your
Yes.
full-time job trying to do this now. You need
Yeah.
some
Those rentals are good.
daily expenses. And real quick, how do you guys now generate business or leads? Real quick.
So I'll start. My leads is a lot of them are organic. I get a lot of referral business or repeat business. I say a good way to start is with family and friends. Hopefully
Definitely.
they're willing to support you.
Sure.
But that's a good way to generate leads.
For me, I had moved down to Jersey, so I didn't have too many people to actually get referral business here. So I actually did lead generation through, what's it called, mortgage people that referred me. And then now I actually get a lot of constant referral business. That's most of my business is referral business now.
Nice.
It's always a blessing. Right now, most of my business is referral and, of course, social media.
Hey.
Yeah.
Custom fitted.
Yeah, all of everything. Yeah, it's been. I looked at at the end of the year when I'm paying taxes
Oh, God.
and
Look,
breaking
don't
down
remind
my
us.
expenses. I like to
Owing.
break down where my business came from, and I noticed last year I had one client. She referred like 4 or 5 of my deals were just from
Nice.
one
Very
person.
nice.
And but now it's getting to the point where now it's repeat business. So it's like
Yes.
they bought like 2 years ago and they're ready to upgrade and stuff like that. But I pay for leads as well. So I just kind of get my business from everywhere.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds real good. And Kat?
Just like everyone said, it's word of mouth, is networking, social media, and that's the key to real estate, is getting comfortable to where it becomes a referral based business where you're not, leads is cool, paying for it, and I do it. I've done it also, but When you come to a point where you're just getting repeat business and referrals that pays for itself, that's where you're comfortable in your business.
I totally agree. Before we actually go, we was actually talking about how, people think that entrepreneurship is easy, and it is not. It's the growing pains, I would say, of life. And just, like, really quick, over the weekend, I earned a DM, stating that the DM said, all this money that you're making, you don't support my business.
Wow.
And I was hurt. Like, I was really.
Do they support your business?
Do you know what the business was, or can you specify? Or
I didn't even know this person had a business. But again, don't judge us on what you see on Instagram, Facebook, perception.
Social
right?
media is a liar.
Not that it's a complete lie, I would say, perception. But again, I started my business part-time. So you don't know, like, the struggles of, like, have your lights been cut off? Have your car been repossessed? Was, like, your credit score decreased? So these are all and that's just my first year.
But Maddie, if you knew they had a business, would you promote them?
But I didn't even know but the thing that they thought that I had the money to support their business, that's what I'm talking about.
Right,
like,
I get it.
you guys think that just because we're realtors, we're rich. We have bills just like you guys have bills. We have expenses and business expenses. And, as you build and grow your business, then we choose to, give back to certain charities or whichever. But I'm human just like you. So if you want me to, or if, like, your friends and family want you to support their business, it's reciprocal. And I didn't even know this person had a business. So which means maybe they should work a little bit harder. But
more marketing.
Right.
But I say all that to say, don't do that to us. Do you guys get emails like, can you support like a growing business? I need ink and printers and paper and pens and pencils.
People.
I'm so mad. Like, I'm so pissed. Like, really?
People tend to think, like, I used to post, which I no longer do as much, like my sales, sold
Right.
by cat, my commission check came in. It's nice and all, but
I popped down on that.
Exactly, because you notice people say, oh, okay, you keep getting checked, and obviously they know it's a couple of thousands, but you don't know when the last check was.
They don't know how much
what
that check
bills
is.
are lined up.
Woo.
You don't know, like for July, it was heavy for all of us realtors. We had MLS fees, insurance.
I just
this,
said
that,
like
that
a whole
bill.
vacation.
That's over $1,000. So it's
Like,
it's
Kat.
nice, and I appreciate the support. And I put it out there to show my clients that that's closed, sold by cat. This is what I'm doing.
Yep.
But like Maddie says, like, that commission check is nice, yes. But don't count our checks.
And you don't know if it's
count it.
$1,000 or $20,000.
Right. It can be 1,000, it can be
Like,
20,000.
And you
We
don't
don't
know
know.
if I'm catching up.
But it's
or
not guaranteed every
not.
2 weeks neither,
No.
or every 3
right.
weeks.
It's not
or
comfortable. So
right.
yeah, me and that person had a real long conversation over the weekend.
I hope
We
they understand
cool
now, though.
But now they understand that it's not peaches and cream and it's not all glitz and glamour. We just gave you guys a whole platform of expenses.
Right.
We can talk about our expenses. So, yeah. Someone else asked really quick, do realtors work in the summer?
24/7, 7 days a week.
I worked on 4th of July. I didn't even take
The
off.
summer
Do you
is
see
every
this hand? I'm
holiday.
working.
yeah, the summer is the peak of real estate.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
the
God,
peak,
but
for
yeah.
sure. We're definitely working.
Yeah, definitely.
Call me.
Right.
Yeah,
If
seriously.
your realtor's not picking up, call me.
Picking up.
At the shore, I'm not.
Right.
Summer is the peak of
Right.
our business because our new year starts November 1st. So we're hustling all this business all summer.
All
and
year.
it's hot in these houses. Please turn your AC on if you want me to turn your house. My eyelashes was like so off all weekend because it was hot.
Got the curls. lately.
It's really hot. So yes, us realtors, we heavily work in the summer because our new year starts in November. So real quick, let's talk about what business we have coming up. Let's start with you. With what's this condo you got all fancy? Let me find it first.
This is like right there.
So I have a waterfront condo at the Promenade in Edgewater. It's listed for $680. It's a 2-bedroom plus den, 2-bath, beautiful, and it's actually Promenade 1 and 2. And this one's actually on Promenade 1, one of the higher end promenades, right on the waterfront. You can see the Statue of Liberty, skyline view of New York. When I tell you, you just have to literally go there and see it. It's breathtaking. Like,
Nice.
you will not leave. I will give you some wine on the
breathtaking.
balcony.
That's right. So that condo.
I liked how Miss J actually posted this really nice comment this morning. It's not here, but you was talking about Mondays. Could you just that gave me
Let me
some
go see.
life.
Oh, did
It did.
That's what it was
you
meant
said
for.
just because you alive.
That Monday
That's
motivation.
cousin Fred.
Oh,
ahead,
so
boo.
the I Love Mondays, a fresh
Yes.
start, the chance to set a new tone for the rest of the week, and a great day to be alive.
Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful. What's that song? It's a good day to be alive. Never mind. Moving on.
So,
Someone else actually, Shireen has this property coming on the market, but she didn't give us actually great detail.
I think that's the one in Richfield Park. I think it's going for shy of $500,000, maybe $489 or something like that. Yeah, I think
Shiny,
that's the
shiny.
house.
It seems like the white
5 bedrooms, 2 baths or something.
What's this cabinetry called?
I don't know, but my mom has
The
that.
antique white.
Yeah.
The antique white is really
The Italian?
Yeah, really, really nice. Really, really nice.
yeah, the kitchen that looks really good.
It looks good. Kat, you got anything coming
No,
up?
just working with different buyers, looking for inventory. The houses are coming; they're going so quickly off the market, so just being aggressive out there.
And those 2 offers was accepted.
Mhm.
Let's be clear about that. Boom.
But she's not on her Instagram.
Yes. Right.
Right.
Miss Custom Fitted.
Right.
What you got going on, babe?
I have a closing this week, an appraisal,
Wait.
and then the 2
Can I hold
offers.
something? You
No,
know, that's all
girl.
We going to
Look,
House Friday,
You
right?
sitting here breaking down your expenses. You think I don't got expenses? By the way, I live not far from where Whitney's listing is, so that ain't the cheapest
Wait,
place
so
to
Candace
live.
is like,
let's be
We'll
clear,
be
I
there
have
Friday.
expenses.
Yeah.
We'll be there Friday.
That ain't the cheapest.
We'll be there Friday, right, Maddie?
My gosh.
No,
So-
but yeah.
So I didn't have a chance to
Oh, I'm sorry, babe.
send my listing in. No, you're
Oh.
fine. It was my fault that I didn't send it. So it's a multifamily in Jersey
Accountability.
City Heights, 3 over 3. It's not a brand new construction, but completely renovated, selling for 1.4 million.
And it's gorgeous.
the
Oh,
Heights.
Actually, it's
Boom.
very nice.
I used to live there.
Black
Remember?
brick.
Remember? I used to live there.
Yeah,
Is
she
it-
used to live there.
In the actual house?
No,
Oh.
no, she's kidding.
I was like, that's prime location right there in Jersey.
So if you know somebody that needs a multifamily house, hit me up.
Nice.
Maybe Ron Sell Homes, because he runs with a lot of buyers in the Heights. I'm a
Ron,
Ron.
hit me up.
Yes, Ron sells NJ. He works in the Heights. Hit Miss J up.
Nice.
There we go.
And don't forget, guys, this Wednesday we have Walk-In Wednesdays coming up. So all you first-time home buyers looking
Nice.
to buy and or sell, come visit me and Miss Audrey. We'll be in Montclair, and we'll send that link over later. And we are so happy because we finally have Miss J, and she's gonna be our intern all summer. So let's give it up for Jay.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys next week. And next week we are talking about, wait, y'all know I'm old, the types of realtor. So we'll see you guys next week at 7 p.m. with the Real Estate Divas.
Thank you.
Peace.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.